So yesterday I did a video on UFOs which were caught on radar. Today I thought I'd do a video on the Men in Black. I'm definitely not finished with UFO and Alien videos and will be doing more soon. But today, let's count down the top 4 encounters with the Men in Black. Number 4. The telepathic encounter. A man known only as Larry claims that one night he was drifting off to sleep when he was contacted by a strange presence who communicated with him telepathically. This weird presence explained that he was not from Earth, but beyond that, he gave no reason for contacting Larry. Somewhat skeptical, Larry asked the presence to provide some proof of its existence beyond simply sending thoughts into his head. He wanted a face-to-face meeting. The presence agreed to provide him with further proof. He would show up during the day when Larry was with his best friend. Larry wasn't sure what to make of the entire thing the next day, and while he continued on with his life as usual, he obsessed about the dream for months afterward. Eventually, he caught up with his friend at an Independence Day celebration at a nearby park. As Larry was talking with his friend, a black van pulled up nearby and 2 black-clad men got out. 2 more similarly dressed men exited the van after them, but they did not appear to be entirely human in shape. The strange men sat down at a nearby picnic table, looked over at Larry, and then re-entered their van and left just as mysteriously as they had arrived. Larry never found out why they had contacted him. Number 3. The teleporting Men in Black. Albert Bender was the director of an amateur organization called the International Flying Saucer Bureau, and he believed that he had finally blown the lid off the whole flying saucer thing. He had his own publication called Space Review, in which he planned to spread his discovery. After compiling all of his collected wisdom on the matter, he mailed it to a friend to look it over before unveiling it to the world. Unfortunately, this attracted the attention of the Men in Black, who decided that it was time to pay him a visit and prevent him from leaking all their secrets to the world. A couple of days later, Bender was on his bed when he suddenly had a dizzy spell. He noticed several dark shapes in the room with him that slowly materialized into the Men in Black suits, with black hats obscuring their eyes and faces. He noticed in particular that the men's eyes lit up with an incredible glow, and they seemed capable of speaking directly to his mind. They made him promise to destroy his findings and cease all of his research into the subject. Bender was so scared that he was only too happy to comply. Number 2. Men in Black caught on video. Now, I know that many have seen this video already, but I thought I'd still add it to this episode. A video was captured of 2 men in black who allegedly entered a hotel in Canada and started asking questions about one of the hotel employees. The stories say that the employee in the question had recently seen a UFO and told others about his experience. Not long after, these 2 men showed up at his place of employment. Luckily for him though, he wasn't working that day. According to witness accounts, the men were asking people not only about the employee in question, but also about conspiracies in general. They had no eyebrows or eyelashes, strange, hypnotic eyes, bald heads possibly disguised by wigs, and clothes that seemed to be meant for fitting in. These 2 men were definitely caught on camera. The question is whether they were clandestine government agents, being from another world in disguise, or simply the product of a clever hoax. Regardless of the answer, there is something hair-raising about 2 men in suits walking into a hotel in the middle of the day and asking strange questions about one of the employees, then leaving as mysteriously as they came. Number 1. The stranded photographer. Back in the 1960s, Jim Templeton took a photo of his daughter near Borough Marsh, and before long it made big news. You might have heard of this photo as the Solway Firth Spaceman, which captures what looks like an unexplained figure in an astronaut outfit in the background. Stranger than the photo is the experience that Templeton had shortly after taking it. He was at work when a car arrived with 2 men who claimed to be working for the government. When asked, they refused to identify themselves beyond the codes number 9 and number 10. Even though their badges pointed to no specific government agency, Templeton agreed to get in the car with them and drive back to the marsh to answer their questions. The questions were pretty strange. Apart from the expected ones like where it had happened and whether there was any other witnesses, they also wanted to know about the weather conditions and the behavior of the animals in the area. Templeton told the men that the domestic animals in the area had seemed scared on the day in question and had huddled together for protection. It was after starting this that the men became much more hostile towards Templeton and started questioning the validity of his story. Of course, Templeton would not go to all this trouble simply to admit the defeat, even if his story wasn't entirely honest, and claimed that he was indeed telling the truth as far as he knew it. The men seemed to be unconvinced and headed back to their car. They drove off and simply left the baffled photographer in the dust to find his own way home. This is it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and make sure to tune in tomorrow for a brand new episode.